Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network on Sunday, September 30th, 2018. This is episode 1528. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet. We can talk about home theater. We talk about digital photography. We talk about tech. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. If you want to talk to me, you can just ring me up. We'll get you on the air here and have a little chat about stuff going wrong with your tech, stuff you might want to buy or might not want to buy, or, you know, all that stuff. 888-827-5536. It's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. For a long time, because I am the tech guy, I thought, well, I have to have a Facebook account. How else would I report on it? I have to have an Instagram feed. How else would I know about how that works? If I didn't have Twitter, how would I? And I finally, before my last vacation, I said, let me try life without. And I've never been so glad. Facebook announced this week, Friday, not so long ago, that there's a security issue, little problem with Facebook. Seems like 50 million users were possibly affected, another 40 million possibly, so a total of 90 million users. Now, remember, Facebook has 2 billion users, so 90 million is just a fraction, just a tiny, teeny-weeny number. They say they discovered the problem when they noted sudden jumps in activity, an unusual spike in users accessing Facebook. That was September 16th, 2 weeks ago. Oh, they said, wonder what that means. Took them a little while, but 9 days later, they discovered that hackers, you hackers, had discovered a series of bugs. You've probably used this feature. I have when I had Facebook. On your Facebook page, how others see you. You never want to know how others see you. It was the it's the view as feature that lets you see your page, not as you see it logged into your account, but as others who are not might see it. Turns out there were 3 separate bugs. First bug prompted Facebook's video upload tool to mistakenly show up on the View As page. You shouldn't be able to upload when you're viewing as somebody else. You should only be able to upload when you're logged in. But no, that showed up. The second one, and this is a problem, caused the uploader to generate what they call an access token. You know, when you log into Facebook on your browser or your phone, you don't have to log in again for a while every time. What happens is Facebook creates a little, what they call a token, a little piece of data that they store on your phone or on your computer, a cookie that identifies you uniquely. It's called an access token. And when you go back to Facebook after that access token has been created, Facebook software checks and says, oh, yeah, that's Leo, and let him in. We don't need a password, which, that's a convenience for users, but you can see how that might be a potential problem. We've seen access tokens stolen before. There was a very well-known issue maybe 5-6 years ago called Fire Sheep. It allowed somebody sitting in an internet cafe where you're on Facebook to steal your token and post as you. Ooh. So this video uploader shows up on the View As page. The second bug allowed the uploader to create that access token with the same sign-in permissions as you did. Finally, and here's the real big one, that when the video uploader did appear in the View As mode, it triggered an access code for whoever the hacker was searching for. This is a complex interaction of multiple bugs, Facebook said. Well, yeah. But on Friday morning, you may have noticed that your access token stopped working. You had to log. Did you notice? If you did, you were one of the 90 million They logged 90 million people out of their Facebook and made that access token no good anymore. First, fixing the bug, of course. See, the problem with the access token is even if they fix the bug, if the hacker still has the access token, he can still log in as you. It's hard to catch these kinds of things, but it's pretty embarrassing. And it just points out that when you're handing all this stuff over to Facebook, you really ought to, consider it basically public. And then say, should I be handing this over? If everybody could see this, my home address, there's a funny one with the phone number. A lot of people don't put their phone number in Facebook. Do you put your phone number in Facebook? A lot of people don't because I don't want that to leak out. Even if, Facebook says it's private, obviously there's no guarantee with Facebook. Well, it turns out people were giving, sometimes, in fact, I recommend this. When you're using a site like Facebook, you use something called two-factor authentication. That's the one where they text you a code, right? In order to text you the code, Facebook has to know your phone number. So you give it the phone number. It doesn't mean you're putting it in your Facebook profile. It's not posted there on your Facebook site. You just gave them the number so they could send you a code. Well, it turns out Facebook was just willy-nilly adding it to your profile and then selling advertising against it. And some clever researchers figured this out by, basically buying ads by phone number. And it worked. Both of these things mean that Facebook's going to get a little bit of heat from Europe and the new General Data Protection Regulation in Europe. Because, well, for one thing, you have to notify people of this breach within 72 hours. This is, by the way, the second security vulnerability in just a couple of months from Facebook. Remember the one in June they announced that said 14 million people's posts publicly viewable to anyone for days, even if they marked them private? Remember that one? So let me underscore what I said before. If you're posting on Facebook, and I understand why people use Facebook. This is where your family is, where your friends are. How else are you supposed to find your high school sweetie? I understand why people use Facebook. My suggestion is if you don't find it greatly valuable, or you don't find yourself feeling good after using it. That was what did it for me. I noticed that I was compulsively using Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, logging in many times every day, but not feeling any better afterwards. Not feeling like, oh, it's great. I saw the kids. I saw the baby. Oh, that was neat. No, mostly depressed at the state of the world. Same feeling I get after watching 24-hour news. So I stopped. And by the way, stop watching 24-hour news too. If something makes you feel bad and you use it again and again, even though it makes you feel bad, that sounds like something you should probably stop doing. So I can't tell you what to do, but that's what I did. And I'm glad now because, well, here's just one more reason. Facebook, there's the security issue, but also there's the kind of blatant attitude at Facebook. Their motto used to be, move fast and break things, which was an interesting motto. It's the kind of thing a college kid would come up with. Oh, guess what? It was a college kid that came up with it, Mark Zuckerberg. Move fast and break things. It allowed them to innovate quickly and create new things, but it also meant that often the new things they created failed, or worse, caused problems. And I think maybe it's time for them to amend the move fast and break things, because maybe that's just not working for them. 8888 Ask Leo, what do you think? Talk about that. Talk about the new iPhones, the new Apple Watch. I got those coming up in, let's see, it'll be about a week from Tuesday. We're going to get new Google phones and maybe new Google Chromebooks and other things. We can talk about that. 888-827-5536. That's my phone number. And you'll be talking to the wonderful Kim Schaffer. She'll take your call, prepare you for your appearance on national radio. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's take a break. Your calls next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Kim Schaffer. Hello, Kim Schaffer.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello. I was trying to identify that song.
You know what?
I
Neither of
don't
us
know
could. I didn't. All right. We
Okay,
try.
Michael.
Kim and I play this game. I can name that song and no notes.
Yeah, this one did not work.
Michael, what is that?
I still don't get it.
Arcade Fire. Oh, see, it's too modern for you and me.
Yeah.
It's the kids like this stuff. It's the new stuff.
I hear they put on quite the show, though.
Oh, really?
I think they've got like lots of lights and.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I've seen some videos.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, how are you?
I'm good. How you?
Good. How you liking all your new devices?
Good. I like my iPhone. I'm playing with it. I like it. I like my new Apple Watch. Like it.
Well,
Definitely.
so that's where I thought we might start.
Okay.
Because yesterday was iPhone, and today, how about the Series 4 watch?
How about that?
Neil in Phoenix wants to know if it's worth the upgrade, and I'm kind of wondering too, because I just bought mine in April.
You just bought one? Oh.
I bought one in April. I guess I hadn't been listening to you and didn't know there was going to be a new one coming out.
It's a really interesting question.
It is. And I think a lot of people can relate.
Hello. Thank you, Kim. Hello, Neil in Phoenix, AZ.
Good morning, Leo. How are you? Welcome back from your vacation.
Thank you.
You get some great pictures, by the way.
Thank you. I haven't really posted much yet, but I will someday. I say that every time. I will someday. I didn't take too many. I only took 1,200 this time, so.
Only 1,200.
Only 1,200. Cutting way back. So you're interested in the Apple Watch. Do you have one now?
I do. I had upgraded I guess it's back in February. I bought us from a Series 0 to a Series 3 because the Series 0 was finally getting old, showing its age. So I bought a Series 3, and I've been quite happy with it, and I'm using it right now and everything. But now I see the Series 4, and I checked online at Apple, and I see they have a trade-in of $225 for my Apple Watch Series 3.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, if they're so
it's in good shape and everything.
That's about half what you paid for it, something like that.
Something like that, right? So it'd be like it would cut the $608 down to like $225 figured for the Apple Care and the.
So I've had every version of the Apple Watch, because it's my job, and I actually it's kind of dumb because I. For a couple of years, bought the fancy one, and I realize now that, I'm going to be upgrading every year. So this time I bought the aluminum, the least expensive one, because that's fine if I'm going to get one next year. I've owned those Series 0, the original, the 1, 2, the 3. I loved the 3. I thought the 3 was a big improvement. And now, remember, I've only had this for a week now, but so far I think the 4 is an equally big improvement. Somewhat bigger screen.
Worth upgrading from a 3.
Well, I can't answer that for you. Although I have to say, I would have said no without the rebate. With the rebate, that's tempting. So battery life, by the way, is not going to go up, even though the watch itself is a little bit bigger. I got the 44 millimeter. Instead of 38 and 40, or 38 and 42, they now have 40 and 44. But the battery was shrunk. It's a little bit smaller battery, oddly enough. Now, of course, they're doing a lot of stuff to get maximum battery life. And I don't know about you with your Series 3, but I never had a problem with running out of juice by the end of the day. It was, as long as it gets you through the day, good enough. I do like the new, the little bit more real estate. Lets them do a new screen called the infograph watch face. And I think that's quite good. It has a lot of... my wife says that's a guy face, because guys like the watches with all the dials on them. It's kind of like that. It's got a lot of complications, they call these little dials. So I have, information about my workout, the weather. I've got the walkie-talkie feature. Now, by the way, a lot of this you can get with your existing watch going to watchOS 5, but a few things you can't. The extra real estate. It means you have this special watch face. There are a few special watch faces that use the real estate. One thing I noticed, it seems a lot faster. Things launch almost instantly. I don't know if you have much experience with running apps, but in the past when I've run apps on Apple Watches, you'd go 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they launch almost instantly. And so that means there's a faster processor. It's a dual-core processor in here, and it's running at a pretty fast speed. So that's improved the performance. I also notice when I work out, I don't know if you've noticed this with the Series 3 watch, but I did. If you work out vigorously, maybe it's just my wrist, but sometimes it would lose track of your heart rate, or it would give you half the heart rate. It would divide it in half, which meant it lost track. Never have that problem with this one so far. This one is been very accurate with the heart rate. There's a couple of new features, fall detection. Walkie-talkie, I think you can get on the walkie-talkie on your watch, so I don't know if that's a selling point or not. Boy, that's a tough one.
Right, I have it.
Yeah.
I do have it, but I don't have anyone to talk to. So
that's the problem. I made my wife start using my Apple Watch just so I could talk to her. And yeah, that's the big problem with walkie-talkie. I even got an email from somebody in Alabama who said, "Can I be your walkie-talkie friend? I don't know anybody who has walkie-talkie." The problem is I don't want people just walkie-talkieing me. This is something you would give people who really you are close to, like your wife or your children or something. I mean, because it's instantaneous. It's not a phone call. You just press a button on the watch, and now you can have a conversation. It takes about 30 seconds for the first connection. I think that Series 3 is pretty darn good, and you put watchOS 5 on it, which I'm sure you've done by now, and you're 90% of the way. The biggest difference here is hardware differences: faster processor, a little bit bigger screen, and I guess it's a little thinner, although I can't tell the difference. I would say, since you just got your Series 3, hang on to it, because it looks like Apple's going to be updating these pretty regularly. I was surprised. I thought we were going to see 2 years at least between watch updates, but maybe not. What do you think?
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Does that
Give it some thought.
Yeah, if they weren't offering the rebate, I'd say, okay, no, don't forget it. Don't spend another $500. But with the rebate, it's a little tempting. I'm sure that's why Apple's doing it. It's a little tempting. It's one of the things I like about my job is I don't have to spend time agonizing over, do I get the new thing? I have to. In fact, there's been times, last year for some reason, there was just new phone after new phone. I was getting really fatigued, not to mention the cost. And I said, I don't want to buy anymore. And Lisa said, you have to. Sorry, no choice. I don't want to. I want to keep this iPhone. I like it. Nope, you have to get the new one. So I just kind of bite the bullet and do it. I know. You're saying, oh, so sorry, Leo. Oh, poor boy. You got to get the new iPhone. But after a while, especially because this new one was $1,250. You start to think, And so if I were a real boy, not the Pinocchio that I am, if I were a real boy, I probably wouldn't upgrade so often. But I don't get that choice, and in a way, I'm glad I don't, because you're going to get the new one. The new one comes out. I didn't even have to think about it. In fact, I was in Italy at the time, which was good because it was midnight Pacific time on Friday. What was that? The 15th in California, but it was 9 a.m. in Italy. So I got up, I ordered my watch, boom. I ordered my new phone, boom, and then I went for a walk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I like the new watch a lot. That's the bottom line. I wouldn't if I were you, Kim. Probably wouldn't.
I'm fine with this for now.
Yeah, it's so close. I can't see a really compelling reason, unless that, the big face or something attracts you, but it's not that much bigger.
On purpose anyway. I'm a girl. I got the 38
Yeah.
millimeter. Why do I want a 40?
Right. Poor Lisa's wearing the 42.
Oh, that's huge.
I know. Huge. Yeah, I don't like to think about how much I spend on all that stuff, but it's part of, it's part of the job. Yeah, I saw the new Wear OS. Does anybody care about Google's Wear Watch OS? Should I be talking about that? That's one where I didn't really feel like I needed to buy it. I'll tell you, on vacation, the watch is great. And it's because there are just a few things that you need to do, like directions, walking directions, great, really great. I wish we'd had walkie-talkie. That would have been handy because I often got separated from my party. I wore and then I like to know how many miles I walked. Lisa would say at the end of the day, okay, how many miles do I walk? And I just look and No lunch today, I guess. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's cheap to charge, right? I saw that. I'll see if Google announces a new Google Watch. I guess I'll. So I have the Samsung Gear S3 Frontier, which also has been updated, and I never wear it because I wear my Apple Watch all the time. So I'm feeling all right. Yeah, baby. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. Bob, Ventura, California. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Leo, how are you doing, bud?
I am great. Thank you.
I missed you the last couple of weekends. I've been listening to you since I had a 12-foot satellite dish in my backyard.
Holy cow, on the Tech TV. Yeah, ZD TV back then. Yeah.
And I followed a lot of your recommendations over the years, but one of the things I'm noticing recently is that you haven't been advocating for malware and antivirus stuff recently. And of course, while you were on vacation, I got a notice from ESET that my antivirus is expiring. And I'm in my memory, I don't see anything that they've ever caught that they've brought to my attention or quarantine. I see some block up ads come up every once in a while. I must know if I allow or block. And so I'm kind of curious as to what I should be doing here. I do use Carbonite on my main business computer, and I do have 5 computers, 2 desktops, and 3 desktops and 2 laptops, and it is a business computer for one. And I do build niche and authority websites. So I'm confused as to what your recommendations are now about keeping the antivirus current, or just going to Carbonite, or making sure that all my computers up to Windows 10. So I'm a little confused. I wondered if you could point me in the right direction.
So it's a great question, and you said something very interesting, because people are saying, well, he's asking about antivirus, but then he's mentioning backup. But it is absolutely the case that one of the most important security measures you can take is to have good backups, and by good, I mean multiple copies, not just one. Ideally, 3 or more. One of them, at least one of them, off-site, out of the office, out of the building, so that if there's a fire or something, that you still have a good copy off the premises. So you're doing that, which I like, and that's really important, because if you get bit by a virus, especially if it's ransomware, the ones that encrypt your hard drive, having a good backup is going to save your life.
Okay, well, then let me ask you. One of my considerations is to make sure that all my computers are on Carbonite, and then I do have external hard drives, but they're connected to the computer, and I've been thinking about buying a second external hard drive for each computer, and then maybe every month alternating them, so I've got one air gapped.
Yeah, so that's where the 3 come in. It's good to have Carbonite, but I also like having a local backup. And so it's nice to have a local backup. And air gap, you can say that's an interesting thing too. That means you're not attached to the computer. And it is the case if you left that external hard drive connected all the time, and you got some of the malware viruses would be smart enough to encrypt it as well, your backups as well as your originals. So Carbonite, that's not a problem, and it's not a problem if you're not always connected, if you're air gapped, as you say. So that's all a good strategy. I don't anymore recommend buying antiviruses. That has changed. And I'm not sure I would say universally. There are some people who act dangerously on the internet. Having a good antivirus probably will help them a little bit. But you point out a really important point. You've not been bit by it because you're smart. You're updating your computer. You're not taking software from strangers. You're probably a little bit cynical when it comes to, pop-ups and things like that. And if that's called practicing safe computing, if you do that, an antivirus, in my opinion, is a negative, not a positive. Now, here's why it's a negative. All antiviruses, in order to work, hook themselves deep into the operating system. Very deep, deeper than a normal application does. And as a result, if there's anything wrong with the antivirus, they're going to provide a conduit for a bad guy into your system. Yes, and this has happened. You can be hacked because your antivirus is not secure. And it's a bad hack because your antivirus is tunneled right into that kernel. So I think antiviruses potentially are less secure. They only catch at best half of all infections, some often less, and they don't catch the really problematic ones, the 0-day, the ones that just happened. And a lot of ransomware is 0-day, where they don't know about it yet. They'll know about it in a week, but by then it's too late. So there's also the cost, and there's also the compatibility issues. Even if it's not a security issue, many security programs cause problems. A lot of the calls we get are from people. It's I have to say it's better than it used to be, but it used to be a lot. People would call, I can't get on the internet. Well, it turned out it was Norton or something that was blocking them from the internet. So in general, I think an antivirus is not needed for somebody who knows, as you do clearly, what you're doing. A good backup is needed always, but an antivirus is not needed. Now, if you have, unsophisticated users in your family, people who are doing, teenagers are notorious for this. An antivirus sometimes is the extra protection you need to keep them from infecting the computer. I'd prefer to teach them what not to do than anything else. We have a 15-year-old. For a long time, every time, I would go on his computer, be laden with not so much malware, but adware and spyware and stuff, because he'd go to free sites and download, the Five Nights at Freddy's free version, that kind of thing. And so, but I spent, instead of, loading his system up with security software, I spent time with him explaining, if you're going to go to a site to download free software, see how this happens, talk to me first, or make sure that, we haven't, ever since we kind of did that training, haven't had a single problem. He's learned how to be a safe computer user. And I think it's not a hard thing to learn. I think that's probably the better thing to do than to say rely on some, software system to protect you, particularly since these software systems aren't full protection, often add security flaws, and can slow your system down or even make it unusable. So the answer is no, don't. Windows 10 particularly is really secure. It comes with a built-in antivirus called Defender, so you do already have some protection. I think modern operating systems, whether it's OS 10, Mac OS, or Windows, are very secure. So keep doing what you're doing. I like the idea of a local backup, absolutely, in addition to the offsite. That's the 3 copies, the original and 2 backups on 2 different media or 2 different styles. And that's what you're doing. And I like the air gapping. I think that's a good idea. One of the things I used to do is I'd have a network-attached storage device at work, back up to it, then bring it home, and have a duplicate device at home, which I'd bring to work. And that way, I always had an offline, up-to-date backup. There's ways to do this, and I think that you're on the right track.
I've got a couple more questions if you've got time.
You bet.
If I get rid of all my antiviruses, don't renew them. I know when I'm visiting different sites, and like I told you, I do build websites, so I'm out on the internet looking at different articles and that kind of stuff. And I see ESET pops up. They're trying to communicate with your computer. You want to allow or block. If I'm absent all that stuff, how will I know if I actually have an antivirus on my computer? If I don't have any antivirus or anything to notify me,
you're probably all right. I think one of the things antivirus companies do is and this is another reason I don't like them, they pop up stuff like that just to remind you they're working. It's basically an ad. You don't need that.
Okay. All right. I understand. Last question. Unfortunately, we lost our home in the Thomas wildfire.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oy. Well, now you understand. Now I know why you back up. Good. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the two CPUs were about the only thing I got out of that house.
Wow. I'm so sorry.
But nonetheless, in this very, 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 very slow process of trying to rebuild, I'm wondering if I might be better off to migrate over to Apple, although I have not been a fan of Apple at all. I don't like their authoritarian ways. But it's such a hassle to keep up with Windows. And
well, Apple, yeah, I mean, there are advantages. I am a mostly Apple guy. I'm using Windows in front of me right now, but I have a Mac also. I think if you're happy with Windows 10, Microsoft's made great strides. I don't see any reason to change. I think it's more a personal choice than anything else. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, it's an interesting question, Bob. I mean, I don't. It's really more taste, a matter of what you like.
Okay.
If you're feeling like, the problem is it's an investment, right? You can't just say, well, let me try Mac for a week.
Yeah, I know.
There's no easy way.
And what prompts him is not only the fire, but before the fire, I had gotten hacked, and it became obvious. And what I saw was from the Russians, unfortunately.
Wow.
And I took it into my tech guy, and there was a bunch of stuff on there that they had to clean up and pretty much almost reformat everything and reload everything. I'm moving over now as much as I can to things like Dropbox and Google Docs and everything else, so that I don't have anything they can get to.
I think one advantage of modern computing is that because so much is in the cloud, it isn't as important which operating system you choose. That means it'd be easier to get a Mac and try it because Dropbox is still there. Even Microsoft's OneDrive is still there. You could still use Microsoft apps. Nowadays, there's a much more porous membrane between the two OSs. I happen to be a major fan of Mac OS. I think you are much less likely to get hacked, not so much because Apple's security policies are so much better. I think they're a little bit better, but I don't know if that's enough to keep you from getting hacked. But on the other hand, hackers aren't going after Macs because there's too few of them. So that you get some advantage just by being in a minority position, right?
Yeah.
I love Macintosh, and I think Apple's doing a great job. But I also have to say, Microsoft has vastly improved Windows, and that is But you kind of nailed the biggest thing people don't like about Windows is all these updates.
Yeah, and of course, it's just become expensive to use Microsoft Office stuff. I mean, they want almost $400 for every computer to be able to access it, when Google Docs is for free.
Yeah.
But then there are times I need something like Word.
Right.
And my understanding is that Apple now charges for use of Notes. So
Apple does not charge for the use of Notes. Notes is free. Apple comes with a free Office suite. The Pages, Numbers, Keynote suite is free. If they charge, it's for storage, iCloud storage, but you get, I think, 2 gigabytes or 5 gigabytes free to begin with anyway. You don't need to pay for iCloud storage. So, no, there's no charge. None of Apple's services cost anything except for iCloud. It's the storage service. And that's fairly comparable to OneDrive or Google Drive or any of the others.
Okay.
So I'm a happy Mac user pretty much. I took my Apple laptop with me on the trip, not my Windows laptop.
Well, we have iPads as well.
Yeah, so you're already kind of in the ecosystem, yeah.
Yeah, and my wife is, I visit a lot of websites to get information because I build websites. Sometimes I don't know anything about the subject I'm talking about.
One thing to look at is maybe for that kind of surfing, for ultra secure surfing, is a Chromebook. They're very inexpensive. They're very secure. Okay. And if Google Docs is your preferred document, system, a Chromebook is very good. Google's going to announce a new Chromebook tablet in a week from Tuesday. You might take a look at that. It may be a little pricey. There are plenty of other choices from lots of companies like Dell, Acer, Asus, HP. They're really good.
I could do that, but I work off a dual monitor, so I do a lot of.
It sounds like you're a desktop guy. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, Windows or Mac, I think you'd be happy. Macs are more expensive. That's the other side of it.
Yeah, that too. So
yeah.
And I have to. Well, that doesn't make any difference.
I got to run. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. That's how Bob popped that last question in with only about 30 seconds left. It's a hard one to answer. Should I get a Mac? I'm getting tired of Windows. Should I get a Mac? That's a hard one. Yeah. I think there's people express strong personal preferences, but I really have to say there's not really a lick of difference between them. There's pros and cons in different areas for each. I happen to use both. I have a preference for Macintosh and Mac OS, and I can give you some, as any advocate can, some strong reasons why it's better. But ultimately, it comes down to, I think, personal choice. Not so much there's a clear-cut advantage of one over the other. It's personal choice. In general, business applications, there's going to be more of them on Windows. Creative applications, there's going to be more choice on Mac. Gaming, Windows has a clear lead in that, and in gaming hardware as well. Apple's a little laggardly there. So if you're a gamer, but all other things being equal, there's not that much difference. It's really more what you like. Jonathan, Scottsdale, Arizona. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a 7-year-old son, and I used to have this watch called the Philip 2 from AT&T, which allowed us to make calls to each other.
Oh, that's cool.
And for some reason, Philip's no longer making a Philip 3 or anything like that. And I'm looking for just a good, like a kid's smartwatch that will allow, a minimum, like calling each other. As best as I can tell, the market seems to be shrinking for those.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't even aware of this Philips watch. I'm looking at it. It's interesting.
It was kind of just a scaled down watch with a SIM card, and you can make calls back and forth. As far as I can tell, LG makes one called the Gizmo, but you have to be on Verizon, which I'm not.
I don't have a good answer for you. If there was a market in this, and I don't know how big that market was, it's certainly gone away now because most kids get cell phones, right? And while I understand completely why you might not want to give a kid a cell phone, that's just killed the market for anything else. Who's your carrier?
Yeah, I'm with AT&T.
So you might go to the AT&T store and just say, what do you offer? Because it's going to have to be offered through them anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, unfortunately, they're not offering anything right now.
At all, yeah.
Quite honestly, I'm surprised. I think it's a big oversight. I'm surprised Apple or Google hasn't come out with some kind of kids device. I would think there'd be a lot of parents like myself who want to have communication and, the geofencing, things like that. And I'm amazed.
One of the reasons Apple keeps making the iPod Touch is exactly that. It's not a phone. There's no subscription, but you can communicate with the kids as long as they can get on the internet. It's got some apps on it. Boy, that's we're going to put there is a website called Smartwatches for You. Smartwatch is the number 4, the letter U. And they have a list of the top kid watches for 2018. And I have to say, we'll put a link at techguylabs.com, or you can just search for top kids watches, smartwatches for you. But they have the Philip, which I think is the one you had. They have the Care F GPS tracking watch, the VTech Kitty Zoom Smartwatch Plus, the AmbiGear smartwatch. I'm not the Doki watch. I'm not surprised that Apple's not in this market because there are lots of markets Apple could be in, but Apple really tries to focus, on a few products for the largest possible audience. And so niche markets like this, maybe less so. How about the LG Gizmo Pal 2?
Yeah, that's the one you have to have Verizon service on. I think it's only Verizon. A lot of these, they actually embed the SIM card and it's built for that network.
Yeah, that's why you got to go to the carrier.
Yeah. Okay, well, I thought if anyone would know, you might know.
Yeah, sorry I'm not more up to date on that. I apologize.
No problem. One more thing, while I was on hold, I heard you ask if anyone cares about Wear OS anymore, and I'm definitely one of those people who does care. I was anxiously awaiting Google to announce a new watch, with Wear OS, but
the rumor is they won't. Their event coming up October 9th that they won't. In fact, the thing that might confirm that is they just updated Wear OS, and if they were going to announce new hardware, you'd probably announce the update as the same time as you announce the new hardware. So I think Google's letting other companies make these Wear OS watches. Whose do you wear right now?
Right now, the same one you have. I have the Samsung Gear S3 Frontier.
Ironically, that's not Android Wear.
No, I would say I'd love to get back. I'm not that big of a fan of Tizen, and I would love to get back to an Android watch.
Yeah, I think Samsung did a very nice job, but it's just very limited. Yeah. But it's a really nice watch with great battery life. I like they have a rotating bezel, which is a very nice control. But it's kind of limited. The new I'm reading positive reviews of the new Google Wear. Mm-hmm. So Wear OS, which is their watch OS, has been updated. At least they're doing stuff. It's not as capable as an Apple Watch, and I think what really happened is the Apple Watch has pretty much dominated the market. Even more than the Apple iPhone has dominated the smartphone market. iPhone is dominant in the United States, but not 100%. It's about 50-50. I think Apple Watch has 80 or 90% market share. The only thing competing against Apple Watches are things like Fitbits, bands that are just primarily fitness focused. And that's the other thing that's killed kids' smartwatches is Apple owns everything.
Well, I think Google really made a bad decision when they went kind of a fashion company route for their watches, like Fossil, Michael Kors, and Diesel. And I think what happened was, then my experience was then you were going into a Dillard's, going to like the jewelry counter and having a 14 or 15-year-old person who has no idea what they're selling, trying to talk about these watches, which are they're not tech watches, but they're fashion watches. And I think that was really a bad decision by Google. And there's very few companies that are making like tech companies that are still making these watches right now. Like LG is one of the few. Samsung obviously opting for Tizen. So I'm hoping with the new Wear OS, there'll be some new tech companies getting back into Android watches. So
maybe. But it's one of those things where I bet you LG and Fossil and everybody's saying, "Oh boy, we sold about 8 of those." let's not put a lot of energy into this. I just don't think it's a big market. There's other fitness watches like the Y Things watch and stuff that, and of course runners. There are plenty of like the Garmin Forerunner. There are plenty of very focused runners watches that runners love. So it's a difficult market, and I think you can't expect to sell millions of units unless you're Apple. So that scares away a lot of developers, a lot of hardware companies. They want the big hit. They don't want a little niche product. Unfortunately.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and we're niche users. That's our problem. And Google is terrible steward of product. I mean, they make a great phone, but there are lots of flaws in the Pixel too, the screen and so forth. And they don't really seem to be committed to products in the way Apple is. Apple is very much all about making and selling hardware. Google, I don't know what they're all about. I don't know what they're into.
Well, I just got a new Samsung Note 9. Been really happy with that.
Yeah, that's a great phone. And, very nice phone. Yeah.
I'm definitely staying in the Samsung camp for the time being. I know the Pixel are pretty compelling, but we'll see.
All right. Hey, it's nice to hear from you. Let me know if you find something good for kids. And if somebody's listening and says, oh, Leo, this is the greatest watch for kids. If your child's too young for a smartphone, but it is great to have a phone. For your kid to be able to reach you is an amazing thing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo is my phone number. No, I promise I won't talk like that anymore. 888-827-5536. If you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, you want to talk high tech. It's funny, our last caller was talking about how he just got a Galaxy Note 9. And I just happened, as I was standing up during the break, I noticed there's a Galaxy Note 9 just sitting over there on my desk. We bought one for review when they first came out, and we do a show on my podcast network called All About Android. And the host of that, Jason Howell's, all about Android. So I said, Jason, go ahead and get that for review, and you're welcome to keep it. But if you decide you don't want to make it your regular phone, I'd love to have it. And I guess he decided not. That's interesting. Didn't want to keep it as his, as they say, daily driver. I'm currently using the iPhone XS Max, that brand new phone, and I like that quite a bit. And the Pixel 2 XL, which is now almost a year old and will be, I think, replaced by Google in a couple of weeks. Actually, October 9th, a week from Tuesday. I'm guessing that's what Jason is subtly telling me is, here, take this Note 9 because you're going to be buying me a Pixel 3 when the minute they're announced. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. That's part of the deal. People sometimes say, well, Leo, why do you buy these? Wouldn't they give them to you for review? And they would. But the problem with review units, and most of the time when you read reviews in blogs, magazines, you're reading a review of a review unit, a product provided to the magazine for review purposes. Almost always, certainly it's our policy, but almost always these get sent back. If we are offered a review unit of a product I'm not going to buy, we will always say to the company, yes, but you have to send us a return mailing label and we will send it back to you within 2 weeks. Mostly companies want that. Sometimes companies try to say, oh, no, you can keep it. And I always think of that, it's not a bribe exactly, but a little bit of an attempt to sway the jury. Oh, keep it. Be my guest. Enjoy that fine new phone. I don't want to get in that situation. And most of the time, I don't even want to accept review units. Partly because there is that sense of obligation to the company that provided it to you, but mostly because you only get a little bit of time, a couple of weeks, to look at this device. And I think it's a pretty hard thing to do, especially with a device as personal as a smartphone, to really get a sense of it if it's not yours. If you're not using it day in, day out, putting your apps on it, putting your data on it, putting your contact list on it, you can't really tell. And when you only get a phone, and I know this because for years, I worked for these magazines, and that's how we would do it. You don't invest in it if you're not going to have to keep it for a couple of weeks. You're not going to put everything on it. You're just going to play with it. And then I think you need to do more than play with these devices. They're so personal. Some things, computers and so forth, maybe it's enough just to, look at them, bang on them, run some benchmarks, and send it back. But I think with a personal unit like a watch or phone, that's why I generally prefer to buy these. Much to the happiness, by the way, of family and friends who get the hand-me-downs. It hasn't been a problem because my kids break their phones like every 6 months. So, it's hard, though. Neither of my kids want Android phones. Most of the people I know, they say, yeah, I'll take your old iPhone. Oh, well, I don't have an old iPhone. I gave that to my son already, but would you like the Samsung Galaxy Note 9? Nah, I don't think so. There's just not a brisk market for Android devices, alas. A couple of people in the chat room are asking to be adopted right now. 8888, ask Leo. Evan on the line from Roseburg, Oregon. Hello, Evan.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I just heard your conversation about some sort of mobile device to keep track of kids or to keep.
Yeah. What are you using?
Kids.
Yeah.
Well, we got it's a little device called a relay. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's basically a walkie-talkie. It's got a little bit of software in it that adds music player function and stuff like that. But since it's a connected device, it's not limited by line of sight like a walkie-talkie is.
It's not a wristwatch or a phone because you just put it in the pocket. It's I think a very interesting device. How old is your kid?
Well, I've got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they seem to like it quite a bit.
Yeah, too young really to give a smartphone to. I mean,
well, they see a smartphone and they just want to play games on it.
Exactly. Plus the expense, and they're going to lose it. How much? By the way, this relaygo.com. How much is the relay?
I think I got 2 for about $150.
Okay.
And then there's a monthly service fee that's a few bucks a month to run it. And we haven't had them real long. We've used them quite a bit. But they seem to be reliable. Sometimes there's a little bit of lag, but I think that's more the network rather than the device.
We reviewed these. Megan Maroney on my team got some. She's got 2 younger children and reviewed them. She had a hard time getting the connection to work, but maybe that is the network more than it is the device. You've not had that problem.
No, we've got good coverage where we're at. We're out in a farm community in Southern Oregon, and good coverage here, and they've been reliable.
It's kind of cool. It looks like a little speaker. It's not very big, size of a 50-cent piece or silver dollar, and it's got a button in the middle of it. And you push the button, and that's how you talk to mom. It's so cool. I mean, it's simple. Even probably a 5 or 6-year-old could probably use it.
Yeah, and I have a 5-year-old who does use it as well, but I just don't let him go far enough away to really need it.
He doesn't really need it, yeah.
One thing I wanted to point out, they're they're revising the software at a blistering pace right now.
Ah, interesting.
The devices have become a lot more capable since we got it 2 months ago. So
yeah, we reviewed it.
it's a pretty aggressive company
Good.
that is going to end up with a really neat product.
Well, I'll have to re-review it. We reviewed it about 5 months ago or 6 months ago, so obviously they've improved it. Yeah.
I think it's a different product altogether. It's pretty neat. I'm very happy with
I see they didn't have chat when we reviewed it. They've got music now. It's even got a translator, which is pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
So it does English to Spanish. I think that's really interesting. And do your kids play with the voice changer?
No, we've tried to use them as tools rather than toys.
Good.
So
I think that's smart. This is for
point,
calling home. Yeah, I think that's a very good idea.
Yep.
All right, I will recommend that to our caller. The relaygo.com. I forgot about that. I had tried it, and you don't have to. It comes with the cellular connection, right? You don't have to be on any particular cellular network to use it.
No, it has its own data plan.
Right.
That is through the Relay company.
Right. Hey, I really appreciate your calling. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Take care. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That is I think probably a very good choice for our last caller. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're going to take more calls right after this. Stay right here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. Let's talk some high tech. What do you say? Line 3, Joseph, Holden, Massachusetts. Hello, Joseph.
Hi, hello, Mr. Laporte. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yes, I listened to you for quite some time now, but this is our first time talking.
Good.
And I have a question that might be a little out of your wheelhouse. It's, I guess, more of a desktop publishing thing.
Okay.
But let me blow it by you. I am in the market for a fully OCR-capable desktop scanner. And I'm wondering which scanners or which models do the best job at producing a true copy of the original, which is sort of searchable and editable.
So OCR, optical character recognition, is the idea that, normally when you scan, you're basically taking a picture of a document. It's a very nice picture, but it's still a static picture. When you add the OCR element, now you can see into the text of the document, and you nailed it. That's what mostly people do it for, is for searchability, although sometimes they actually want the full text. And while OCR has made great strides, it still has trouble with, newsprint that's really tiny, handwriting, forget it. So if you have, fairly easy to read, crisp letters, big font typeface, and so forth, you'll be able to get better results with OCR. If you're scanning New York Times articles, for instance, it'll be fine for searchability because enough words will get through, you'll probably be able to search it, but it won't be great if you want to just get the copy of the text. And I presume that you're not looking for the copy of the text so much.
No. These are old academic papers that the electronic files have been lost for.
Oh, wow. So you want to create new electronic files, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. So almost all scanners will do this. This is, some of them come with OCR software, and if they don't, Nuance makes very good OCR software, probably the best OCR software out there. What's interesting is that this market has changed significantly thanks to smartphones. Now, it's not a good solution for you, but unfortunately, a lot of the people who were powering this OCR market would just use their smartphones now with built-in OCR capability. They'll take a picture of a document, and that's good enough. For a long time, I used a product called Neat Receipt, which I really like. It was a scanner combined with OCR software. The name kind of tells you a little bit about what the Neat company was thinking. They were making something to scan receipts, but it actually does excellent OCR. And it's a scanner that's designed to easily, scan documents in. So they're still around. I had to check. It looks like they have focused more on receipts, business expense management, things like that. So they may not their focus has changed enough. They may not be ideal for what you want. Are you going to be doing this yourself? You got a graduate student to do the work?
I'm doing it for a graduate student, a friend of mine.
Oh, that's nice of you. Epson. So one of the things that makes it easier is a good sheet feeder. Are these documents that you're going to be scanning in a good enough shape that you could put them through a sheet feeder? And by which I mean they're not torn or crinkled on the corners. They don't have staples in them, that kind of thing.
They're variable, but I think the sheet feeder might handle most of
that. Saves you an immense amount of time, because the most time-consuming thing is putting each page on the scanner, pressing the button, and then opening the lid, putting the next one on, bit by bit. That's kind of annoying. I might recommend Epson has some really excellent document and photo scanners. Epson's a sponsor, so I should mention this, but they have document and photo scanners with really good sheet feed. Something like the Workforce ES 500, for instance. The idea of the sheet feed is you just put the whole stack in there, press a button. They're designed to be pretty fast. I think they do something like a page a minute. No, I'm sorry. A page every 2 or 3 seconds. Pardon me. So it's that's what you need. That's going to save you a lot of time. They're around $300. Yeah, this is a duplex. I'm just looking at the listing now from Epson. It's designed for wireless scanning to a PC, Mac, smartphone, tablet, or cloud storage. I don't know if it comes with built-in Nuance OCR, so it has their Scan Smart software, so it does the OCR. This is probably what I would recommend. I've used the Epson has also a photo scanner, the Fast Photo, which is the same idea. Very good sheet feeder and a very fast scanner designed to get all your print photos into digital form. But they make a document version of this, and I have used the photo scanner and blown away by it. So I would take a look at their Workforce. There's the ES300 and there's the ES500. The ES500 is $329. That's not bad. And that's what you want. In other words, you take the documents, you put them in the scanner, you go have lunch. You come back, they've been scanned. It's using the best scanning software, as I mentioned, Nuance. So it's going to do the best OCR possible. If the text was readable, you might even have that full document, which would be awesome.
Is there a difference in the in terms of justifiability of the document that's produced?
That's up to you. So what'll happen is you'll scan a document and you'll get an image. That's the image as is. There's nothing you can do about that. That's a picture of the page. But then you'll also get the text. If it's able to scan the text accurately, it'll be as if it's in a Word file. If you want to have it just right justified, left justified, centered, that's up to you, with formatting the text later in a program of your choosing.
Because I guess there are different kinds of scanners, different ways of feeding the paper.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so this feeder,
flat like a copier.
I see what you're saying.
You feed it through a groove, a slot.
No, and you don't want that. This one is a it's like a Xerox machine with a rack that's tilted up. You put the pages in there, it'll do 50 pages at once. And honestly, if you're doing a lot of scanning, a feeder is a huge benefit. As long as those pages aren't ripped, torn, crinkled, they'll get through the scan feeder. And then there may be a few that don't, right? And then you go back and you fix those.
But generally, the results will come out as true and justified as with a single sheet scanner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, I see what you mean. Not skewed or tilted. No, in fact, they'll do a better job because a single sheet scanner relies on you putting it exactly right there in the corner. And I don't know about you, but every time I close the lid, the air moves it. This is much better than that because it's got guides. It's going in. It's just like your printer. It's going in, and it's going in perfectly straight. I understand what you're saying now. No, the document will not be skewed. In fact, this is a much better way to do it than doing it by hand.
Very good.
Yeah, and this is network ready, so you don't have to plug it into a computer. It has two-sided scanning, and if these are academic journals, then you are starting with a two-sided document. So that's very important. You want to be able to get both sides. So I think this is as good as you're going to get. And if anybody has another choice, I'd love to hear it. And I should mention once again, Epson is a sponsor, so you might think I am biased, but I'm not. They're a sponsor because they make really great stuff. Highly recommend it. Chris Marquardt, the photo guy, coming up next. The DS860. Who makes that, Uncle Bick? That's 1 per second. Oh, it's an Epson. So just the higher level Epson. Okay. Yeah. The ES500, I'm looking at it, they say 35 page per minute. So that's pretty darn fast. Yeah, flatbed, I think, is a lot harder. Mama, don't take my Kodachrome, leave my body all alone and don't. Can you believe Paul Simon's retiring? That's just not allowed. That's just not allowed. He can't retire. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He's getting on. He probably should. He's in his 70s. I had dinner with him, a couple of years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a real treat. Basically, I just said, I'm not worthy. I bow down to you. But I asked him a few questions. He was interested. What he was mostly interested in, he said, my son's a musician. And the music industry's changed so much since I came up. I wonder how he can make a living doing this. So we talked a little bit about kind of how acts these days are, instead of trying to get signed with a record label, going at their own. I said, have him call me. We'll help him set up a website and promote his stuff on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff.
I was at that point once. I have a part of my past was in music.
Really?
I
didn't know that. What kind of
I wasn't
music?
good enough.
Yeah.
I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Jazz fusion, not really the stuff that you can earn money with,
It always blows me away because you'll even be in the subway and there's somebody down there blowing and wailing away on a sax that's as good as Charlie Parker. And you just know that there are people, millions of them out there, who are brilliant musicians who just can't make a living.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart because they're so talented. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Chris Marquardt is a photographer these days. He's our professional photo guy, just back from a couple of photo workshops in Ireland and Lofoten, Norway. How'd those go?
Oh, those were amazing. I mean, I've been to Lofoten 4 times now, and it's just one of these places. I love discovering new things. It's it's right above the Arctic Circle, so we had some beautiful northern lights up there. The coast is beautiful. The water is nice. It's just not to swim in, but just the way it looks for photography. It's a great location. Love to go back. Food is amazing. It's an all-round wonderful place to be.
And then you did another workshop. You never stop. This guy works so hard. Another workshop last night, right?
Over the weekend, pretty much yesterday and today, I held a workshop here in the Viewfinder Villa. We did a people photography workshop where we talk about people in front of the camera and how to deal with people and how to get natural portraits and how to work on foreground, background things. We always talk about this. You want an interesting background. You don't want distractions in the background. And one of the things that makes a huge difference are the colors in a photo. It's often overlooked because the camera is going to take care of that, right? We call that white balance. And the problem is almost all cameras are not perfect when it comes to that, especially if you have a smartphone, they will do a good job because the smartphones, sooner or later they will take over anyway. But until that, a lot of people still have a mirrorless camera or maybe a DSLR or something along those lines. And you really kind of have to work it to get those colors spot on.
We used to, in TV, I don't know if they still do this, but we used to hold up a white piece of paper in front of the camera before they'd begin the live shot, in front of the White House. You'd be standing there, and the camera guy would white balance on the white sheet. I guess the idea is, well, here's the ambient lighting, and given that lighting, whether it's kind of bluish because it's daylight or it's yellowish because it's tungsten lamps, you would then try to get the piece of white paper to be true white, and then everything else as neutral as possible, and then everything else would be properly colored. no matter what kind of lighting was out there. Now, of course, if suddenly the lighting changes, you'd have to redo that. That's white balance, right?
And you can still do this with the cameras. I mean, this is really advanced. We call this custom white balance, where you would hold up a white sheet of paper or a gray card, which is specifically made for that purpose.
I have one of those. It's just like it's like calling card size, playing card size. I carry it around my neck.
Yeah.
And you put it. What I do is I put it in the scene, the first picture, if I really wanted to care about this stuff, and then that I can use after the fact in Lightroom to balance the rest of the pictures from that scene.
You take the eyedropper and just click on it, and everything, all the colors snap into place.
It's kind of magical, actually.
It's magic. The moment this happens is really magical. And this is advanced. I think most of the listeners are not interested in that. But here's a well-kept secret. That's not really a secret, but most non-professional photographers don't know that. You don't need to do all this voodoo. You can get to the perfect colors much easier, and that is by using presets on your camera. There are white balance presets on your camera. Even iPhone apps, let's say you don't use the default app, but maybe Halide, which is one of my favorite camera apps on the iPhone. If you go into manual mode, if you tap the little triangle and it switches to M mode, you can tap on the auto white balance AWB button, and you can select the white balance based on the light source that you are shooting in. So if you are shooting in sunlight, you want to set the white balance onto the little sun symbol, and the camera will magically set up the white balance so that the colors look good in that light. If you're shooting under fluorescent light, then you have the little fluorescent symbol, and you choose that, and then the camera again will balance the colors to a preset, which is almost always good enough to get you better colors. I had a friend call me one day and said, my camera can't do colors. And I was like, what do you mean? Well, I shot a picture at the swimming pool and everything is weird. And I looked at the photos, and the camera's trying to guess what a color cast the scene has. And with all the blue color from the pool, the camera was just confused. It was getting confused, and it didn't get the colors right, and everything had a weird greenish cast to it. So I told him this trick, and next thing I hear from him was it was the happiest camper in the world, because everything looked just right. And now one thing you don't want to do is, let's say you're outside in the sun and you set the white balance to the little sun symbol and everything is fine, and you go back indoors.
Ooh, don't forget that. Yeah.
And you have your tungsten lights or your LED lights on, and they are warm white, and they are just a different color than the sun outside, and you leave it on the sun, you'll get a bluish cast or some weird color cast. Now, some photographers use that for a creative choice, because you can, of course, use the colors to give these white balance settings to give your photos a color tint of some sort. You might want a greenish cast or a reddish cast or a bluish cast, because that might support the story you want to tell. But if you want the perfect colors to be as neutral as possible, to be spot on, you want to go with white balance presets in your camera.
Excellent advice.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to report that because you told me, I blame you, Chris Marquardt.
Blame me for whatever.
Blame me on my recent vacation to the Mediterranean and all these beautiful locations. You said, do this, try this, bring a single camera and lens.
Okay, how painful?
A nifty 50, if you will.
How painful was it?
And I did. And by the way, to make it even worse, I don't blame you for this, it was a manual focus lens.
Okay.
You said, but it was the same idea, right? The point is to think about your shots, compose them, spend time preparing them. It's not great for, I got to get that shot. Although you can, as a lot of street photographers do, set your camera to f8 and your focal length to like 8 feet. And, a lot of times you just bring up the camera, shoot it, and it'll be okay. And I did that a few times. But I have to say, I got some really lovely shots by simply spending more time. Instead of zooming, I zoomed by walking forward and backward until I got the composition right. And it was a good exercise. Sneaker zoom. It was a very good exercise. I do confess, though, occasionally I'd pull out my phone because I needed a wider angle shot.
There's nothing wrong with that. This is perfectly fine. I'm very proud of you, Lou. I'm so proud of you for taking that one camera, that one lens.
Chris Marquardt, he's at discoverthetopfloor.com. That's where you'll discover his wonderful workshops and all his great photography and his books and a whole lot more. And he will be back next week. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Leo.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'll tell you what our photo assignment is right after this. What is our photos? I have to remember.
Hat.
Hat.
We'll take care of that next time.
We'll do it next time.
I think we should.
I have a good hat shot.
Let me see.
Here's a hat shot. This is a hat shot of Lisa, and a hat that I made her wear. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, it's not opening. Come on. I made her wear this hat. It's a helmet. Bicycle helmet.
That looks nice.
Yeah. But it didn't fit me. I picked it out, and it didn't fit me. So she very kindly wore it while I got to wear the bland, neutral, normal-looking hat. You know, the other thing I did is I sent out postcards. I picked one picture each day and sent a postcard with that picture out. And that was a good discipline, too, to say at the end of every day.
Which app did you use for that? You didn't send handwritten postcards.
I did. I sent way too many. I sent 17.
I like PhotoCard, yeah.
Yeah, I love PhotoCard, but I did send a rather large stack of photos to family and friends. I sent it out to 8 different people, all family members. I sent one.
You made a lot of people happy this way.
My daughter said, next time, fewer photos, Dad. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I want to mention, every week Chris Marquardt joins us to talk about photography, but we also like to give you an assignment. Now, it's not a contest. It's not a game. There's no reward. It's just really a way to encourage you to take more pictures. And so each month, Chris gives us a topic and asks us to illustrate that topic with an image. You can upload as many as 1 image a week, so a total of 4 during the month, to our Flickr group. Flickr is a free photo sharing site, flickr.com. And the group is the Tech Guy group. And you'll know you're in the right group because I think we have like 11,000 members now. It's a huge group and a lot of photos. And so the topic of the month, I think Chris is going to do a review next week, so hurry. The topic of the month is hat, H-A-T, hat. So take a new picture. You don't go back in the library. Take a new picture of illustrating the word or concept hat, whatever that means to you. Post it on Flickr. Put hat in the tag, and then submit it to the Tech Guy group. Renee Silverman, our wonderful moderator, who does this absolutely for free, and I thank you, Renee. We'll say thank you, welcome. And next week, Chris will pick 3 and talk about them on the radio. Hat, the topic of the month. 8888 Ask Leo, our phone number, Asheville, North Carolina. Kevin on the line. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, good to speak with you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to speak to you. What can I do for you?
The reason I'm calling, I've got an Xbox One X, and I know when they first announced it, one of the things they mentioned was DVR capability. Games. Yeah.
Yeah, they never did that.
No. I'm curious, since you can obviously DVR your gameplay, there's something there. Could you install a piece of software like Kodi and take advantage of that and use it as kind of like a makeshift DVR?
Wouldn't that be nice? So I also have an Xbox One X, and I love it. But it's a computer. It's even running Windows 10 in the background. You wouldn't know that because it's got a special UI on it. And in theory, like any computer, you could install software on it, but they just don't provide any mechanism for doing that. You have to install it from the Xbox store. And if there's not a recording program available in the Xbox store, you'd also have to get TV into it. So the mixer program that they use to record is exactly that. It's just a Windows program that they install on the Xbox. It comes with it. And, you can even, if you have voice control, you can even say, record that if you have a particularly good moment in Fortnite. And you can say, record that, and upload it to Mixer, or you can even stream live and all that stuff. But unfortunately, I don't think they've ever put out a program. Kodi would be nice. You're right, but you can only do what you can get from the store. Period.
Right.
I think Plex is in the store, but I don't know what kind of recording capability. Of course, then you'd have to get TV into it, and whatever you're using would have to see the TV input. And I don't. This was the promise. This goes back before the Xbox One. Microsoft was going to do this years ago, and they never got around to it.
The original Xbox.
Yeah, they just never got around to it. And in order for it to work, I think they released. I believe I remember they released one in Europe at one point. But they'd have to do hardware and software because you'd have to have a TV tuner. Let's see.
So you can plug in a TV tuner in the back of it.
Yeah, but then the software has to know how to see it.
Gotcha.
and the software has to be available. So recording game clips, that's something Microsoft decided they wanted to be able to do. I wish they'd put TV recording in. I mean, that was originally the idea with the Xbox. Not the original, probably, or even the 360. But once the modern Xbox came out, it had by throughput. You would have a HDMI in and HDMI out. The idea was you put your TV tuner in through it, like your cable TV and stuff. So you even can pass a TV signal through it, but you can't record it. They never made that available. I don't understand why not.
I remember the old school ads for the early Sony PlayStation and old school, the original Xbox was they wanted to be the center of your living room.
That's right.
And I have no problem with that as long as the right company will allow me to do whatever. Because I'm the same way with my PCs and laptops.
Yep.
I get people asking me, what do you do with your computers? Whatever I'm in the mood to do that day, I want to be able to do it all. Same thing with my gaming system.
But that's what's different about console gaming. It's not... Yeah. Even though it is, you and I know inside that's just a PC, but it's locked down, and they do that because they want to make it easy for consumers to install and play games. They don't want them to go through the hoops you have to go through on Windows 10 to install and play games, but it has the downside of you don't have any control over it. When you buy a console, you're buying whatever Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo decides to give you. And
the vision for that console.
Yeah, there may be ways to hack it. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna give you a link because our chat room to the rescue once again. Thank you, Mars Worm. This is a Windows Central article. How to add a DVR to Xbox One using an HD home run. HD home run is that silicon dust product that lets you. It's basically a TV tuner. Their article says in 2015, Microsoft announced plans to introduce an over-the-air DVR to the Xbox One, allowing you to save broadcast shows to a hard drive connected to your console. That never happened, and it was canceled.
Of course.
But silicon dust, apparently... Well, read this article. I don't know how hard this is to do. I don't know how well it will work. But apparently there might be a way to do this.
And one last thing. In the 2 o'clock hour, Bob was asking about either Windows or Apple.
Yeah.
Apple is good if you have the money and you can afford the equipment. They make some of the best hardware.
I agree.
So if you already have great PC equipment, especially equipment that you've modified, and you want to try something different out without having to put out a whole lot of money, Linux is a great option because you can run them live from a DVD, live from a thumb drive. They're free to download, and there's over 500 different types for whatever your needs are. So if you've got time and you've got some spare thumb drives laying around the house, Linux is a great option. Just decide, what your needs are and which distro is going to work for you.
I couldn't agree more, Kevin. Basically what happens when I get a laptop is I run Windows on it for the first 6 months to a year, and then I put Linux on it. I just, my X1 Carbon, which is a beautiful Lenovo laptop, just took Windows 10 off it, put Antivirus, which is my favorite Linux distribution, on it, and it's beautiful. It's a wonderful machine. Everything works except for the fingerprint reader, but that's fine. I don't need the fingerprint reader. But it is so. I agree with you 100%. That's basically what happens to any older computer in my collection. I take Windows. I leave Windows on the new machines, and on the old machines, I end up putting Linux on it. It's free, and and by the way, if you haven't tried it in the last few years, it's come extraordinarily far. The drivers are very complete. Works with almost any PC hardware. And it's just great, rock solid.
So if you like that Mac look as well, one I could recommend, uses the Enlightenment desktop, and it's called eLive, and they've got version 3.0, and it's Debian-based, so it's very stable.
Yeah, there are a number of attempts to make a Linux version that looks like the Mac. I haven't seen eLive yet. eLivecd.org. I'll have to install that and give it a try.
Very nice.
Yeah. I've used Elementary in the past. That's another one that's designed to be a Mac replacement. Honestly, if you're going to use Linux, use Linux. I mean, don't try to make it look like a Mac. Just make it be Linux. It's fine. It's okay. But if it makes you feel better, go ahead. Hey, thank you. The cops are coming for you, Kevin. You better get going.
I'll be all right.
I'll talk to you later. Slow speed chase in Asheville. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm kidding. No one's coming for Kevin. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. I have to ask Father Robert who this guy is and why he gets a special umbrella. Who's that guy? Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Talk about the new iPhone. Could talk about the new Apple Watch. Could talk about what's coming with Google. I have just got my Note 9. Hand me down. Note 9. Anything on your mind. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Now, here we go to line 1. Eric. He's in Kerrville, Texas. Hello, Eric.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just, minor snag and trying to take care of some business.
Some business? Well, what can I do to help you with the business?
Well, last couple of months, I have a Note 8, so if you want to hand me that Note 9, I'll accept it.
I loved my Note 8, and actually my daughter got that hand-me-down. That was a very nice thing, and I imagine the Note 9 is similar to the Note 8, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah, I like the new yellow
use it
S Pen. Is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, so my problem exactly is with my Note 8. Now, my wife has got a Note 8 as well. Hers doesn't have this problem, but mine, for some reason, laptops, iPods, an iPad, every so often, I'll have a device that is Wi-Fi, and I turn on hotspot on my phone, and for some reason, a lot of them can't see my hotspot.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, and I've Googled the crap out of this thing. I can't get a solution anywhere. So,
interesting. So this on the Note 8, you'll turn on the hotspot. It's a Wi-Fi hotspot. Some things can see it, though, right?
Yeah, my Xbox One, you were just talking about those.
Okay, that sees it.
My iPad 3 Mini, it'll see it. But my son's Wii, the Wii U, it won't see it. Yeah, I still got one of those. There's other ones like, and my laptop, my primary laptop that I use, a Toshiba satellite. It's only a couple years old, and then my really old satellite, it's about 8 years old. It can't see it either. So but they'll see my wife's phone, and I don't get it.
That's interesting. Now it sounds like it's the older things that can't see it. The newer things can.
No, not everything. Even some new things won't even recognize it's there.
That's really not sure why that would happen. Though there are a couple of things going on with Wi-Fi that might be related. There's two frequencies, 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and I think, and I don't remember for sure, but I think the phone will do either or both. And then there's also the issue of how the encryption is turned on, WPA2, WPA, WEP. But none of that should make a difference. You should still at least see a signal. You may not be able to join it, but you should at least see a signal.
Right, it won't. It's really strange. I don't get it. Sometimes I'll have a it'll show a hidden network. Like on the newer laptop, it'll show hidden network. But that one's being weird too because it'll show hidden network no matter where I'm at. Like
you gotta go in the settings. There might be the Note 8 will do 5 gigahertz. I think though that you have to go in the settings and turn it on. And it may be that you have. It sounds like you might have SSID hiding turned on, which is actually not useful from a security point of view.
Hide my phone.
Yeah, so I would just go into the settings for the hotspot or the Wi-Fi and see. I can't think of any reason why this wouldn't work. It should at least see it, even if it can't join it because it doesn't support that encryption protocol, for instance. It should at least see that. I've had trouble. I remember the Wii U, I think, did not do WPA, so it had to use WEP, or maybe that was an even older Nintendo. But maybe it was just the Wii. I think it was the Wii that didn't support, it only supported WEP. And so that was an issue because I wasn't going to use WEP because it's not a secure protocol anymore. So I would look at the mobile hotspot settings and see if there's anything odd going on there. That's the only thing I can think of. It may be there's something wrong with that phone. That's a puzzlement. I can't think of why it wouldn't work. And I've used, I don't know if I used the Note 8 ever as a hotspot. I'm pretty sure I did. I certainly have used this Galaxy S9 as a hotspot and never had a problem. Everything saw it. Maybe it's also an issue of the Note 8 itself not switching it on or not switching it on in a timely way or something like that. You got me. I don't know. If anybody in the chat room or anybody listening has an idea, you know how to get a hold of us. 8888 Ask Leo. Have you had problems with your Note 8 and some devices not being able to use it as a hotspot? Have you figured out what's going on? Let us know. Or you could even go to the website, techguylabs.com, and leave a comment. That's a free site. There's no sign up. There's no fee. techguylabs.com. We put everything from the show there, hour by hour, call by call, and you can just go right there to hour number 3 and the first call of the day, first call of the hour, and leave a comment. If you found a way to make this work, if you've seen it happen, it's happened to you, and you know what to do about it. I do not. Sorry, Eric. Yes, I strike out. Let's go to Larry, Bakersfield, California. He's next. Hi, Larry. Are you there, Larry? Oh, wait a minute. It's Mike, not Larry. Hi, Mike. I'll get you next, Larry. Hi, Mike. Mike's calling from Bath, Maine. Is it Micah?
Hi, Leo.
It's Micah. No?
Hello?
Hello, Mike.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Go ahead, sir.
I went out and bought this old Apple TV Gen 1, and I'd like to be able to put all my Apple movies on there, the ones I bought through the Apple Store and that.
Yeah, you should see them.
And
do you not see them?
My understanding is they quit supporting the Gen 1 last April or May.
Oh, curse you, Apple. So can you go to the store? Can you launch the Apple Store on your first generation Apple TV? You can see it, right?
I don't know if it's me not putting the password right, because you know how pernickety Apple is about getting the password in, or whether it's just doesn't want to recognize the device at all.
Yeah, there's because wow, So the original Apple TV, that's the one that's not the little black hockey puck.
It's the white one.
It looks like a Mac Mini. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be that they just don't work anymore. Now you said something like about putting stuff on there. Those old ones you could store because they had a hard drive, store content on there. They did abandon that.
Content on there. I bought it used, and what was on there, I wiped it.
Yeah.
Because I really
you should
didn't
do a restore.
Somebody else's picture.
You should do a restore from scratch. I hope you've done that on the Apple TV. Yeah. Because then it'll say, okay, well, what's your Apple account login and all of that stuff.
Right, and it doesn't seem to want to take that right now.
It must be, maybe it's incompatible. They stopped allowing you to store because now what people do is just stream it. Apple stores it for you.
Yeah, and I've got all the other generations of Apple TV since. It's just that I wanted to have something where I didn't have to have the internet and I could put just everything on there, and I wanted it to run in iTunes.
Yeah, because
I can turn it into some type of Linux box or
I don't know if you could do that with that Apple TV, but that's the solution. Is that Apple TV is so old, Apple doesn't support it anymore. And what you want to do is simple, but you don't need to do it with an Apple TV. You just need, if you go out and bought a Mac Mini or any small computer, I would look at the category is NUC, the new unit of computing. Look on Newegg or somewhere for an Intel NUC. They look like the new Apple TVs. They're small. They have hard drives in them. And you could put Plex on them or even software that would make it imitate an Apple media server. And it would look to your wife and to any other devices on your network like an Apple TV storing movies. That'd be a much better way to do it. Much faster, much more reliable. I'm pretty sure that first generation Apple TV is useless. It's just toast. There's nothing you can do with it. It's too old and Apple doesn't support it anymore. Yeah. Looks on May 25th, 2018, Knox Harrington's putting this in our chat room. Apple implemented changes that prevent Windows XP or Vista PCs and first-generation Apple TVs from using the iTunes Store. There you have it. However, Marsworm has found an article, which we will put in the show notes, techguylabs.com, from our friends at imore.com about what you can do with a first-generation Apple TV. You could put Kodi on it. Problem is, it's really slow. It's a slow processor, doesn't have a lot of memory, but you can put Kodi on it and turn it into a streaming server. It just may not be a very, very good one. I'm Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to take a little teensy-weensy break. We'll be back with more of your calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Back to the phones we go. Line 3, Larry in Bakersfield, California. Thank you, Larry, for hanging on. Hello, Larry. Oh, hello, Larry. All right, I'm going to put Larry on hold if I can remember how to do that. It's been a long time. I think I push this button and then that button, and the magic happens, and then maybe you can wake him up, Kim. I'll go to Kyle in San Pedro, California. Hey, Kyle. Oh, nope, not Kyle. I'm really bad today. Charles, Danville, New Hampshire. Hi, Charles.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
There, I got somebody. I'm feeling great. Welcome. What can I do for you, Charles?
I got a couple questions if you have time. One, got a little story, a little background, and I hopefully you get an answer for me.
All right.
Okay, I've got a Samsung product, a ProFit 2.
Okay.
GearFit 2.
Yes.
Well, basically, my significant other, she just loves to get her steps counted because she competes with everybody she knows.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. I wish I was in that same network.
You're lucky to have a friend who does that. That's good. She's in good shape.
Oh, my God, yes. But the problem is she went swimming one time.
Oh, no.
It's supposed to count her laps.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be completely waterproof.
Yeah.
So the very first time she goes in, there's not a scratch on the device. It of course, breaks.
Oh.
So I call Samsung, and they're like, hey, no problem. Send it in to us. We'll get it fixed. I'm like, hey, fantastic. So I mail it into them. They're super proactive. I get, automated emails. It tells me the day they get it. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. This might be the best company ever. Well, I get an email the same day they get it that says, oh, well, it was water damage, and we're sending it back to you not fixed.
Oh.
Well, my problem is it's supposed to be waterproof.
Is it? Because I'm looking at the website. I don't know if it is.
Well, how is it supposed to count my swimming laps if it's not waterproof?
Well, that's
Up
a
to
good
50
question.
meters, actually, it says it.
It says that. All right. I'm looking at the website of the GearFit 2, and I don't see the waterproof thing. I also don't see the swim thing on here. But you were able to find on it. Let me see if there's
It's one of the first couple things it says. It
Okay.
says 5 atoms, which is kind of weird that they mention it that way. And then they say 50 meters.
Yeah, it's 5 atmospheres. Yeah.
Atmospheres, yeah.
Well, heck, But Samsung's saying it isn't waterproof. They're saying it isn't waterproof.
No, all of them. They actually say it is waterproof, but
how
can't override the company can't override the guy that said they can't fix it because it got water in it.
Well, it's not. What? What?
I know. That's why I keep calling. I've called them almost 10 times, and every single time they're like, "Well, I mean, we're supposed."
Are they saying it's? Are they saying it's not waterproof?
No, they're saying it's supposed to be.
But we're not going to fix it because it's water damaged.
Correct. And I have the device. I keep telling them. I said, I'd understand if you could tell me, hey, we could tell it broke because you fell or something, and it got water in it.
Are you sure? Are you sure you have a Gear Fit 2 Pro? Because
yes,
it is the Pro. Okay.
It is the Pro because my girl had the first one.
Yeah, the Fit 2 is not, but the Pro is.
Correct.
Yeah, all right.
She had the Fit 2, and then she lost that one, and I bought the Pro.
Very nice of you.
So much.
Oh, yeah, it says right in the front, take the plunge. Except if you get it wet, we might not fix it. Huh.
And my problem is nobody's willing to, and I don't know if they even have the ability to step up and say, okay, it's broke.
Well, of course, there are a couple of tricks, and all I can do is tell you tricks. I mean, one trick is to call a national radio show and complain about it. I hope you're recording this call and you send it to them. The other, because now 1 million people have heard that Samsung, which seemed to be giving you good support, is doing the strangest runaround ever. The other thing you can do is, and I'm sure you've done this when you're talking to tech support, is escalate. Say, I need to talk to your supervisor.
Oh, yeah.
And I need to talk to what?
I hate to say it. The girl just passed me over to the person sitting next to her.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Yeah, that's a shame.
And that person, I hate to say it, she just made up a lie. She just said, well, it shows where it was modified, and if you open it, then it's. I was like, why would I open it? It's under warranty.
You did not open it. You did not open it.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next thing, couple of things more you can do, and though this gets less and less likely, especially because Samsung's a Korean company, you can write to the CEO and say, hey, you guys are mistreating me, and I wanted you to know about it. That's good for many, many companies. Now, Samsung, the problem with Samsung is there are many, many Samsungs. You want to write to Samsung Electronics.
Electronics, okay.
That's the CEO. And actually, I would probably do it to Samsung US because they may be more responsive. So that's Tim Baxter, President and CEO of Samsung Electronics North America. Any company worth its salt will have a department of the executive, a branch that does one thing, responds to these specific complaints. And if you escalate it to him, often you can get results. I mean, all you can do is say, I'm going to report you to the, what are you going to do, right? Best thing to do, call a radio show, send him a recording of it. Say, I'm going to call the tech guy, and just, you just got to hope. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Somebody in the chat room says Apple does the same thing. They don't cover water damage on waterproof devices. Well, let's see. Gear Fit 2 Pro water damage. This is from Samsung's. You have to activate the water drops icon. So what they're saying probably is, well, before, and this is true of an Apple Watch too, you have to tell it you're going to get it wet. There's a water drops icon, and that seals it off, and then you have to turn that off when you're out of the water. If you don't do that, then they're going to say, well, it got wet, and you didn't follow our procedure. But I'm seeing, and I will put this in the show notes in the Samsung community, a lot of people complaining about this. It's water resistant. It can be used for swimming, but if you get it wet, you can complain to the FTC. It sounds like there's more than a few people with this issue. I'll show you the thread. There's quite a few people with this issue. I don't have that. Guess you're not the first. Swim ready is a lie, says somebody. Yeah, I'd go after them if they don't respond. Call the FTC because they're basically lying. And I'm glad you called, and we can tell the world. That's terrible. That's terrible. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So I've been doing a little research. Chat room's been doing a little research. Well, lo and behold, there are a lot of people with Samsung Gear Fit 2 Pro watches right there on the front page of the website. For the Gear Fit 2 Pro, it says, take the plunge. Right on the front page. Go from swimming laps to jumping in the shower. Gear Fit 2 Pro is water resistant. Okay, that's an important word, resistant. It's not waterproof. Up to 5 atmospheres. And then there's an asterisk. Gear Fit 2 Pro has a water resistance rating of 50 meters under the ISO standard of 22810:2010. If the device or your hands are wet, they must be dried thoroughly prior to handling. Okay, that's the weasel words right there. They must be dried thoroughly prior to handling. Don't handle it with wet hands. So that is absolutely misleading. And I'm at a Samsung community page where person after person after person is complaining exactly as Charles did, that this thing is not waterproof, not suitable for swimming, even though that's how they're advertising it. Wow, that's pretty low, Samsung. That's pretty low. The thing to look for, what you always want to look for, is that weasel word, water resistant, which is not waterproof. And honestly, unless it's waterproof, it can be damaged by water. And when they say something like you got to dry your hands before you handle it, that tells me it ain't even that water resistant. I would contact the FTC, Federal Trade Commission. If enough people do, Samsung can be forced to change their advertising. Doesn't sound like you're going to get your watch fixed, though. You did a next best thing, which is you've just told 1 million people, if you want a watch for swim workouts, this is not the watch or the fitness device. That's disappointing. Especially since right at the front, when you go to the Gear Fit 2 Pro site, it shows the watch in water, splashing around, and has the words, take the plunge. But whatever you do, don't get it wet. And if you do get it wet and it stops working, well, we're not going to fix it. Wow. The Apple Watch is supposedly wearable for swimming. It has this weird spit button that you press after you go swimming that actually spits out the water. There's a little water droplet on the watch. And you press it, the watch goes and spits the water out of the speaker. And you can press the water button before you go swimming. I think a lot of these devices require some sort of interaction before you get wet. Read instructions carefully. Read instructions carefully, and all we can do at this point is say, companies, you really got to be more clear about what you can and can't do. And if you're not, and somebody says, "Hey, it broke," you got to stand behind it. Larry, Bakersfield, California. Hi, Larry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Rolling up Highway 99, old 99, on my way to Yosemite.
Oh, you're going to have a great time.
I am.
I love
Here's
Yosemite.
the deal.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I got all hot and lathered to get a tablet, so I ran over to Costco, got an iPad. Had a hell of a time trying to get it set up. Went to the Apple store. He got it going. I went back to my hotel, and going in and out of iTunes and it just seemed very intrusive and complicated. So I got frustrated and took it back to Costco. So I'm done. I'm a child of a lesser god now.
Welcome to the wonderful world of Apple.
There you go. So I'm done with them.
In their defense, I'm going to say this, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It's true of the new Apple phone, too. I've had to enter my iTunes password at least a dozen times. They will say, well, we're doing it for your security. That we just got to make sure that it's secure, and eventually those warnings will go away, and they do. But I know what you're saying. It's annoying.
Correct. So what I'm getting at is between the Samsung tablet and the Asus Zen tablets, what do you think? Where with I guess I'm a Windows Android guy.
Yeah, I love the Samsung tablets. I think they're very good. I don't think you'll see the same kind of annoyances. I do have to say that when it comes to tablets, Apple is absolutely dominant, number one in every respect. But if you really can't bear Apple's way, and by the way, that's the motto, our way or the highway. The Samsung Note is a very nice tablet. It's the one I would recommend. I briefly used the Acer. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but almost everybody I know who uses Android tablets says there really is but one, and that's the Samsung. Now, in about a week and 3 days, a week from Tuesday, Google is expected to announce a new tablet based not on Android but on Chrome OS, the codename Nocturne. It looks pretty sweet, and it will run Android apps. So if now you're on your way to Yosemite, if you need this tablet for Yosemite, well, get the Samsung. But if you can wait 10 days, I might say it would be worth it. What's unknown is the costs. Typically, Google's Chromebooks are much more expensive than anybody else's. They make premium products, and they sell them at a premium price, kind of like Apple. I will buy one, and I'll have a review for you. One other Chrome OS tablet I've used that was less than exciting. Was it Acer or Asus? I can't remember who made it, but it was okay, but not great. I think Google will do something probably a lot better. In fact, if you search for Google Nocturne, you'll see renders, you'll see, rumors only because they haven't announced it yet about what this is. What we don't know is when it will be available, although likely it'll be available pretty quickly, and how much it will be. They think the name will be the Pixel Slate. There is one thought that it might even support Windows 10 as well as Chrome OS. That would make it a very interesting product. It's very high resolution. That means it'll have a beautiful screen. It will absolutely support Android because that's where Google's going with Chrome OS. And that might be the best Android tablet of all, is a Chrome OS tablet. So Samsung, if you got to get it today, if you can wait 10 days, I would wait and see if the price and the funny thing about these Samsung tablets, they cost the same as an iPad. They're not saving you money. They're just saving you from the Apple ecosystem. But a lot of people who have Samsung, either the Notes or the Tabs, love them. And Samsung keeps those up to date. They have good hardware. Really, the only thing lacking is tablet support in Android. It's not bad. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Really, the king of the hill when it comes to tablets is easily the iPad. Somebody's mentioning, don't forget the Acer Spin with the Wacom pen. That will be a worthy rival. I'm sure there will be a stylus, though, on this Pixel Slate as well. So the event is coming up. It's in New York, October 9th, made by Google. We have reporters who will be on the scene, and then we'll be covering the stream as well. So I am the Acer Chromebook Tab. I was not impressed with. That was the one I reviewed, but I will be very interested, and I will almost certainly get a Pixel Slate just to see. Because Google, when the Google Pixel Book, which is their Chromebook, is $1,000. Most Chromebooks are $300, $400, $500. So it's twice as much as the next one down. But it's a darn fine thing. It's got an Intel processor instead of an ARM processor. It's got a really nice screen. It's got, a lot of memory and a lot of storage. They made basically a reference design so that, if you could get it as good as it could get, this is what Chrome OS would be. And I suspect they'll do the same with the Pixel Slate. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. The phone number. Kyle in San Pedro, California is next. Hello, Kyle.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I'm calling in regards to an issue I'm having with the Home Edition 1803.
Okay.
On my laptop.
1809 is going to be here any day now. Woo! But,
yeah, can't wait.
1803. And these are actually, I think Microsoft's abandoning this naming. I think the next one is called Q2H or something. But these 18 is the year 2018, and then 03 was supposedly going to come out in March, ended up coming out closer to May. 09 was supposed to come out this month, but it's going to come out in about a week or two in October. So what's your problem? 1803 was notoriously bad, so I'm not surprised. But what's your specific problem?
I get an issue where it's not letting the battery be charged.
Oh, well, that's a very bad problem. That makes it a laptop unusable, essentially.
Exactly. So I've done some research on the internet, and I've found some steps to actually fix the problem, but that hasn't fixed it either.
Wow. Is it draining the battery, giving you worse life? You said it can't even charge.
No, I'm down to 0% right now, and I didn't realize it until about 3 weeks ago. So it actually comes and goes, and where it says 0% available, plugged in, not charging, or it'll say charging, but in reality, it's not charging at all.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty bad. So the first thing to do is look at the manufacturer's website and see if they have an update for you. Because
I already did.
Yeah,
did that.
Yeah. Who's the manufacturer?
It's an Asus 17-inch Republic of Gamers computer.
Oh, those are really good. I mean, you spent a lot of money on that thing. So,
yeah, I do AutoCAD and I do Photoshop.
Yeah, I love those ROG laptops. So, Asus, did they have a patch?
No, they haven't come out with any kind of a patch for this system for about 2 years.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And the other unfortunate thing that I didn't realize when I bought this has an internal battery that it would take me many undoing of screws to take the battery out.
Well, hey, at least you can do that. You know, Apple laptops, the battery's glued to the keyboard. You have to, you can't replace the battery.
Yeah, but
have you run the battery diagnostics, the Windows 10 battery diagnostics?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
I can tell you what I did do, on the internet, what I found out when I needed to do.
What did it say to do? What did Mr. Internet tell you?
It told me to go to the device manager and go ahead and uninstall under batteries the Microsoft AC adapter.
Yep.
And the Microsoft ACPI.
Yep.
Setting, and then go ahead and shut off the machine. Remove your battery. Plug the power cord back in and turn it back on.
Okay.
And then reinstall your battery. When
Mr. Internet, what Mr. Internet's trying to get Windows to do is reinstall some kernel extensions for power management. And
exactly.
I don't actually think you need to do that. Good Lord. That's crazy. And by the way, you might go to all that trouble and 26 screws later, nothing because it's not easy to trick Windows into reinstalling a kernel extension. It's pretty much decided what kind of hardware you have, and that's that.
Yeah.
If Asus doesn't offer a patch, there are a couple of things you can do. Not charging is a significant issue. I think you want to run some diagnostics, and there's a Windows 10 battery diagnostics. You go to all you have to do is hit Windows key and type battery, and you'll see a battery troubleshooter. And you can run that and see if Windows has a fix. It may well be by now. 1803 came out, as I said, 6 months ago. So there may well be a patch that Microsoft has on the website that the troubleshooter will download and install. Cross your fingers.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping for. I think I got the latest OS build, so that's what I was hoping that I would fix, but I still have the same problem.
Somebody else in the chat room says, I have the ROG G751. It's running 1803, and I don't have any issues. So that's the other thing. It may be that your battery just coincidentally isn't working anymore. How old is it? 2 years? 3 years?
It'll be 3 years in January.
So as you know, all lithium-ion batteries have a limited number of charge cycles. That is a full discharge recharge, typically around 500. So if you've been taking it on and off the battery every day, 500, that's a couple of years. If you run it all the way down and then charge it all the way up and run it all the way down, you get 500 of those. So it may well just be that you've exhausted the battery. In that case, a battery replacement may be all you need to do.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I realized that from listening to you for the many years, so I really haven't done that. I've always constantly kept it plugged in. I don't use it on a regular basis in regards to that. Anytime I do keep it on, I always have it plugged in.
So I'm going to send you some links to some, there's some chatter on Microsoft's community forum. I found one called Laptop Battery Issues After 1803 Update. We'll put that in the show notes. It has some cross links to other battery solutions from How To Geek and others. You can roll back if you want. It's not easy, but you can. This article I'm going to post at techguylabs.com has information on how to do that. It also has some other things to check. The diagnostics will tell you at least if your battery is exhausted, and that may be all it is you have an exhausted battery. Okay. So the diagnostics will at least tell you that. They'll say, here was your initial charge capacity when it came from the factory. Here's what the current charge capacity is. It may have gone down to almost nothing. And in which case, the only fix is to get a new battery or keep it plugged in.
Yeah, that's what I have to do for the moment. But yeah, I appreciate the information.
Yeah. I'll put that in the show notes, techguylabs.com. Yeah, you spent a lot of money. It's a very nice laptop. Laptops, it's a shame, but 3 years, it seems like that should still be youthful, right? But 2 or 3 years, often for a laptop, that's the average age span. A desktop computer, 10 years. But laptops get thrown around. They get, I don't know. There are ways to diagnose this, and I think that's probably what you need to do. Let's just figure out what the heck, what went wrong. And I'm sorry that that's happening to you. 8888 ask Leo. Actually, don't bother calling. We're done. What can it be? How does this happen? We got through the whole show, and I never ended up talking about all sorts of big news stories. But if you'd had any questions, you could have asked me. I thought this was interesting. A research study. The folks at the Pew Research Center do regular surveys of the American people about their usage of the internet and things. They have discovered that since 2016, the last 2 years, the number of people who say they use the internet or social media or own a smartphone or own a tablet have not changed. We have plateaued. Now, you know what happens in a curve when you get up to a plateau. What's the next step? It starts going down, right? Are we at the peak for internet, social media, smartphone, or tablet computer? Or is it, as Pew says, we're just saturated? Everybody who wanted one has one. 9 in 10 or more, 90% of adults younger than 50 say they go online on a regular basis or own a smartphone. Maybe just everybody who wanted one has one. I think, though, maybe not for internet, maybe not for laptop computers or smartphones, or even tablets. Maybe I'd be interested to see if that social media number, which is plateaued out, starts to go down. I don't think it's just me. I think many of us are kind of fed up. I'm curious. We'll talk about that. Thank you to Michael Cozio, our musical director, Kim Schaffer for answering the phones. Thanks to you for being here. I'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.